You know, I relate a little too much with the title of this movie. Don't know about the content, but I was a problem child growing up. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Problem Child. This is our Father's Day video because it is Father's Day, and just kind of snuck up on me there. I I genuinely forgot that this was coming up. I genuinely forgot that this was a thing because it's like kind of like Mother's Day. It's something like we just don't talk about that much until it's like practically here. It's not like Christmas or Halloween or Thanksgiving, which are like big holidays. Let's be honest, Mother's Day and Father's Day are greeting card holidays. They're meant to, get Hallmark money more than anything. That's why you have all these ridiculous holidays just randomly strewn about, at least here in America. And I don't think like parents need a specific day. Also, there's a Mother's Day and Father's Day, but what about for non binary parents? Like, I feel like they're just kind of left out. You know? It just feels weird and wrong to not include them. Why not just make a single Parents' Day? It covers everything. It's inclusive. I think it would be better. But anyway, the point. Let's get to the point. So we're reacting to Problem Child. I know nothing about this movie. I have not heard of this movie, but it is a request of Venom. Venom donated for this, as usual. So yeah, this was specifically one of the ideas that you requested, Venom. You gave a list of ideas for Father's Day. That is actually how I found out it was Father's Day this weekend, because I did not know what was coming up. I knew it was in June. I just didn't know it was this weekend. You know what I mean? Though to be fair, most of my weekend has been focused, or most of my month so far has been focused more on Pride stuff. Like when I think of June, I think of Pride more than I think of Father's Day or something. But either way, so I mentioned in the cold open that I was a problem child growing up, and let me explain. So if you're new to the channel or you just haven't heard this story somehow in various other videos I've talked about, I was a bit of a mischievous little shit when I was a kid. And I wasn't like one of those kids who was like outgoingly mischievous. Like I wasn't like pulling pranks and stuff and being a little shit in that way. I was more of like I was just a troublemaker in a lot of other ways. I stole stuff from stores, from people I knew, friends even. I had a little bit of a kleptomaniac side to me. But on top of that, I would steal stuff like my mother's cigarettes to try because I saw people smoking and I thought like, oh, I need to try this. I need to be cool. Um, I stole my mother's checks and forged them. Yes, I know that sounds like insane, and you're probably thinking like the fuck. But I was a stupid kid, and I didn't do them for anything like massive or whatnot. I literally took them to school and tried to use them to get hot lunch. Again, stupid kid. And I was caught for all of this stuff, by the way. I like they were able to realize that shit was going on, and yeah. Um, I also fought a lot with my brother. I know that seems minor compared to the other stuff, but like I mean like physical fighting. I mean like we were like at each other's throats. And that was mostly when I was like in later high school and everything. Um when we were like living in Georgia at the time. But we fought even before that and stuff over a lot of various random things. Um, and I caused problems. I was a problem child. But like I said, I wasn't exactly super outgoing. I wasn't like the problem child where, oh, they're like doing drugs or anything outside of the cigarettes, I guess, but or going to like these parties and underage drinking and shit. It's like that wasn't really me. Again, it was more like the stealing thing. That was the big one. Um, I was very klepto as a kid. And the funny thing is, it was actually my father who taught it to me. Um, and it was like minor shit that just evolved into bigger shit, but like there were a couple times when I was like pretty young where I was like, "Oh, I want this candy bar." He's like, "Stick it in your pocket." I'm not even kidding you. He told me to do that stuff. And it's like it's a candy bar. It's not like the biggest deal, but it evolved and it like fueled me to just do that with other things and stuff. It like grew into like DVDs and video games and whatnot, and just eventually kept evolving, and it got really bad at points. Um, and luckily, I grew out of that. Luckily, I stopped and became better, and I think like having a couple confrontations with the police helped, to be fair. But yeah, and I'm telling you guys all this. You some of you are probably thinking it's like, why are you telling me this? Isn't this personal? You don't need to talk about this. But I have this policy nowadays in my life where I believe in not just honesty but openness. I believe that I need to be open about this stuff because it helps me, like, within my mind, like, teach myself to not do it again, to not go down these kind of routes. By consistently enough telling people this, talking about it, I remind myself over and over that I used to be like this and I'm not anymore. And I can't again. I can't do this again. I can't be like this again. Not to mention, it's just on topic for the video. So, like I said, though, I don't know what this movie is about, like, other than, problem child. Um, and the fact that this was recommended to me for Father's Day specifically kind of implies to me that the father relationship with this problem child is important to the film's narrative. So this could be obviously done in many ways. It kind of depends on when this movie came out. Because there's certain like older movies where you have like kids who are touted as problem children, but in reality they're actually super mild. It's like, oh, this kid's a problem. It's like they're not really doing much wrong. Like they're a little like overzealous about things, but it's like they're not really that bad. But then there's certain like generations of film where it's like, oh, this kid is an actual menace, and Dennis the Menace would be an example of that, where it's like this kid is actually like causing problems and being kind of crazy and wild and needs to take a fucking chill pill. But a lot of the times it's like a lot of the times in a lot of those older movies when the kid is being like a problem, a lot of times it's honestly kind of the parents' fault. Like you watch some of those movies and it's like the parents are either dismissive of their child, in some cases abusive, in others just kind of like just not there for them. And this is a thing in reality. Kids act out to get their parents' attention and to get the attention of those around them. It gets them some level of like being seen. And that's what kids want. That's what they crave. They need that attention because it helps them grow into the world. And obviously, good attention is better than bad because, it determines how they grow. If they're like constantly given bad attention and stuff, it's going to affect their mental health. It's going to probably cause them to become troublesome themselves and whatnot. If they're given a lot of love and good attention, not to necessarily an unhealthy degree, because that is possible, but to a normal degree, they'll probably most of the time end up fine. And mind you, teenagers like usually have an angsty period no matter what, but we're talking, I assume, about younger than a teenager here. Because problem child doesn't read to me as teen. It reads to me as like 10 years old. Maybe 12 at absolute max, but I'm thinking more 10. When that's what I think of more when I hear the term problem child, 10 or younger. Now, I don't know who's in this. I don't know when this came out. I don't really know anything about this. I know it's not that long of a movie. It's like an hour 20 or so. It's pretty short, but I assume it's a pretty simple film. Kids probably some degree of trouble. Parents are trying to get them under control. And there's some message in it, I'm sure. Which can be well handled sometimes and poorly handled sometimes. It really depends on the writing and everything. You also have to take into account that some of the problems children had or were perceived as having in the past are now understood a lot more in the present. So if this is an older movie, then you gotta kind of take that with a grain of salt, because like the way that kids were perceived in different decades and whatnot is very different than today. And a lot of times there were things that were seen as a problem that just aren't a problem. Like there is a good period of time where it's like, oh, this kid is into D&D. He must be a fucking Satanist. It's like, the fuck? This kid wants to play video games more than he wants to go outside. He there must be some kind of mental issue with him. It's like, huh? But people legitimately consider that being a problem child. Also, my camera died. I apologize for. I don't know when that happened. Hopefully, it wasn't too long ago. Okay, that's not working. Give me a second here. We're back? Okay. I'll try to get that fixed before the actual reaction for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's like, it's just a really kind of fucked up situation, really kind of fucked up thoughts, but those were things that happened. And it's really unfortunate that people thought that way. And nowadays things are a lot better, but there's still a lot of adults, especially of older generations, who still think like dumb things like that. Either way, I'm interested to see what this is about, especially, again, since it was one of those movies that was given as a specific idea for today. But I'm definitely curious at the very least. So we're going to get this started and see what this movie has in store for us. But before we do, I do want to remind you all that we have an awesome array of great reaction content on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions for you to check out. And on Monday specifically, we have YouTube, or at least YouTube adjacent reactions as well. Shorts, specials, mini-series that just don't have a lot of episodes, or actual YouTube videos. Anything that doesn't quite fit into a regular series reaction or a movie reaction goes in this slot. And speaking of movie reactions, we have those every Saturday and Sunday, just like you're watching now. Not all of them are themed like this for Father's Day, but they are almost always donation rewards. And I record them during the week and upload them on the weekends. I pre-record them just because it's easier that way. And this also makes sure that every day of the week has some reaction content going on for it. We're also currently going through a couple Let's Plays on the channel. We have Spider-Man 2 every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Really been enjoying this game. Just as a reminder, though, for these, I do pre-record them well in advance. We just put up like episode or part 27 by the time I'm recording this. And I've got like 46 parts recorded. So we're like almost double the length that we are in what's up right now. Because I record them in batches and whatnot. But anyways, so yeah, they're every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And if you're new to checking out the series, I do want to let you know that the first 9 parts do have some audio issues, especially 5 through 9. There's some audio desync issues that I wasn't able to catch prior to finishing the recording. So, unfortunately, there's not really much I can do about it. I tried my best, but yeah, it wasn't really much of any options. Because of this, though, I did make sure that from part 10 and on, it's all good. There's no more issues. I got it all figured out. And keep in mind, this was the first series I started doing with Capture Card. The first Let's Play I started doing with a Capture Card on the PS5. So there's a lot I had to figure out, and I just made a mistake in my second recording session, and it just caused some issues. But I got it fixed, and from part 10 and on, all is good. So most of the Let's Play. Excuse me, that almost came out of nowhere. Wow. But we're also playing through Anno Mutationum on Saturdays. This is a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez, and is pretty fun so far. If you want to know more about how to donate for a PS5 Let's Play in the future, go to the channel search, and type in June Double Reward Month PS5, all one search. It should lead you right to the video that will give you all the info you need on how to donate for a PS5 Let's Play in the future. Or you can contact me in the comments below, on the Discord server, in like a private message or something. Or you can even go to other social media to contact me. Whatever works best for you. Whatever is the easiest and most effective on your end. But with all of that being said, I think it's about time we got going with this movie and see what this has to say about problem children. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because yes, we do redirect all reactions on this channel. You understand that YouTube's copyright system is pretty shitty. And because of that, I want to avoid any possibility of a channel strike or even worse, channel termination, which I have unfortunately had to deal with before, and I just never want to deal with it again. So to keep that kind of stuff from happening, we do push the reactions onto another site. I understand you don't want to have to click all these extra links just to get to the reaction, but luckily it's only one. You go down to the description below, click the single link, and it takes you there. And on the plus side, this does allow for all of you, every single one of you, to get to see the full unedited reaction completely free. There's no paywalls, no Patreon to subscribe to, and you don't even have to sync up your own copy. You just get the full unedited reaction completely free. I understand that a lot of reaction channels can't do that for good reason, but I do pride myself on being a channel that can give that to you. I love to be able to give you these reactions for free and to see your thoughts on them. I hope you enjoy the reactions, and after you watch this one, you can come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will not only contain spoilers to this movie, but just my general thoughts on it, on the themes and messages, and maybe even some other stuff related to the channel. It's always possible, and it's always worth checking out just to be safe. So, all of that being said, I thank you so much once again for tuning in, and for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This was shit. This movie was not good. There's like maybe a couple funny lines in there, and the message is undercut so often that it's kind of lost. And like the kid doesn't even really learn anything. Like he doesn't learn to be better. Like he even at the end, it's like he says it's like you never learn and stuff, and it's like talking to the father like over loving him and everything. It tries to do like this humorous thing, but it just none of most of the humor just isn't funny because it's not jokes. Like, oh, there's a dog staring at the back of the car while she's banging trying to get out of the suitcase and stuff. Dog goes away. You think it's maybe going to help, comes back, and there's just a bunch of dogs. What was the joke there? I don't understand what the joke was. Because a lot of the humor in this just isn't actual jokes. It's not funny. There's nothing to it. It's just like they give us a situation, and it's very clear from how it's framed and everything that they expect us to laugh at it. It's like, none of that's funny. And it's like, I understand that the father, Big Ben, and Flo, the mother, uh, of when I say the father, I mean the father's father, the grandfather. Let's say that Big Ben and Flo were like meant to be seen as terrible, and that's why at the end, like they're not part of the relationship anymore. Flo is like she kind of goes off her own way after even saying she wants a divorce, and after having cheated on Ben. I think his name was also Ben. I think it was like, yeah, because they called him Little Ben, right? So he was already a junior himself. Um, but like they she cheated on him with the killer and everything. Which why was that part of the story? Why was that killer storyline thrown in? That felt so needless and just detracted from a lot of the heartfelt family moments that could have been gone into. Not to mention, like, okay, Ben, the father, Ben, like, not Big Ben, just Ben, him going so back and forth after, like, his initial breaking point, it just didn't work. Like, okay, he has the initial breaking point, and they go back to the adoption agency, right? That's all fine because that's expected. But then he has another breaking point, like right after learning that this kid was abandoned over 30 times, and that his acting out is because of that shit. And he's like obviously really upset by that and understands how fucked up that is. But then he just loses it again and is gonna smother him with a pillow. It's like that's not funny. And this is clearly a comedic movie, so you can say that. That's not funny, that's not entertaining, that's just not good writing even. You can't have him go from reaching his breaking point to understanding why the kid is like this to reaching an even worse breaking point to where he's homicidal over a kid. That doesn't work. That just does not work. It's just, this movie was not well written. It wasn't well acted. Like, that's another thing to take into account. Almost none of the actors were that good in this. None of the child actors. Michael Richards was okay, but like when you compare it to stuff like Seinfeld and all, it's like he felt like he wasn't even trying here. John Ritter was there, I guess, and it's like just so much of the acting felt like it was forced. Like these actors were like almost bribed to be in this movie. The music, fine, I guess. The shot composition, fine, and all, but the script was horrible. The dialogue was horrible. The idea of having a lot of this movie narrated by the kid, as if he's like looking back on his life, just doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't make sense. It's just, it would have been better if you had like some adult actor like playing him as like an adult and saying like, oh, wasn't I a crazy kid? That would have been better, but that still would have been unnecessary. It just doesn't feel like that made sense for this kind of movie. The entire like, oh, this is gonna be narrated by the character or whatnot. Like, I've seen that in many movies, and it's like, it's a specific kind of movie that works for. This is not it. Um, and again, I said this during the reaction, but it tries to make us believe that this is both a nature and a nurture issue, which does not make sense, nor is it like in any sense realistic or believable. Because here's the thing, right? Kids, like I said in the reaction, are not bad or good by nature. They're just neutral. A kid's actions, personality, and all of that is based on how they are raised, how their parents act around them, how they treat them, how other sources around them act and treat them. That is what informs a person's personality and character and their actions as they grow up. Kids are very susceptible to this, and because of this will act out if they're mistreated, or if they seem like if it seems like their parents or people around them hate them, which was very clearly a big thing in this movie. He clearly felt like everyone hated him, even though they didn't go into that as much as they really should have. But they half-assed pretty much everything in this movie, let's be honest. But it's like, it's a matter of nurture and everything, and all his problems. And the movie tries to make us believe that, but it also frames itself as if this was just a problem from his birth. Like, his birth mother gave him up when he was like newborn, and he was abandoned multiple times since then as a baby. And it like shows him like, there's the pee joke, which is fucking stupid, by the way. Like, as a baby, like a newborn infant baby who doesn't have any level, by the way, of true consciousness. Babies like exist, but they don't have any true consciousness to them where they have any informed idea of what they're doing. There's kind of a debate about when exactly kids start to really become truly conscious of their actions. But I think I've seen that most people agree it's about like 4 years old. And it's like, this kid is 7 during the majority of this film. And he's been abandoned like over 30 times. Which means he was abandoned pre-4 years old probably over a dozen times. Unless we're to believe that the vast majority of it happened all after that point. Which there's no evidence one way or the other. Because this movie gives us information without actually showing us any of it. There's a lot of tell rather than show in this movie. And I feel like it's just, it doesn't try hard enough to make us sympathize with the character. It just, they show all this like shenanigans that he gets up to, all of these troubles that he causes, but it barely tries to make us understand why he's doing this until like well into the film, and then it's like all of a sudden, oh, he has a consciousness about how people seem to hate him. And it's like, where did this suddenly come from? Oh, by the way, it's gone now. We introduce it and then we don't touch on it again forever. Because it's like they just don't actually focus on the actual like engaging plot points that are supposed to be the main factor in a movie like this. Instead, they're focused more on this trying to be a comedy, and they do it without making it funny. They just have this kid causing chaos, and it's like, how is any of this supposed to be funny? There's no joke here. Like, for example, best example I can think of, the birthday party scene, where he's fucking up this little girl's birthday, this neighbor girl who wasn't really fond of him in the first place, but still, he's fucking up the party, filling the piñata with all of these pickles and whatnot. And throwing all the presents into the pool, cutting off this girl's pigtails. It's like the song they're playing during this and everything, and the way the scenes are shot, it's very clear that this is supposed to be comedic. And I'm watching the tone that they're trying to go for here, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these filmmakers? Like, the presents in the pool, haha, that's not that big a deal. But cutting off this girl's pigtails and the piñata with all that shit in it, and, you know, the crazy shit he's doing, it's like, you're looking at this and it's like, why are you trying to make me think this is funny? Nothing about this is funny. There's no humor here. Like, what is the direction of this film? I'm baffled by this because I've seen attempted comedic movies that weren't that funny before. That's just a thing. Sometimes it happens. There's a comedy that's released that's not actually funny, for various reasons. But this is so baffling because it's like, not only is it just not funny, but none of the stuff that's trying to be funny is. There's like a couple lines that got a chuckle out of me, but that's literally it. And again, there's plot points in this that it's like, why is this in here? And like I said, I understand why, Venom, why you suggested this as a possible Father's Day one, because clearly the father-son relationship was the focal point of this film. But it's like, you didn't have to make every other character detestable to this degree. Big Ben, the grandfather and everything, being so aggressively unlikable, like, why? Is it meant to, like, make us feel less sorry for him when, like, you know, they crash through the window the thing is, the thing at the end where he, like, has his campaign room because he reveals everything on TV, it's like, that only works because he's aggressively unlikable. That scene could only be there if he's aggressively unlikable. Is that why they did it? Just to have that scene in there? Because nothing else in the movie informs him acting that ridiculous. And the mother is an absolute shitbag from the go, who only cares about her image and how other women in the community see her. Like, she's literally convinced to accept adoption because he says it's like shopping. He compares it to shopping, and that gets her to accept it. Because of that, and the fact that it gets them into social situations with other people around them. She is so fucking terrible from the get-go. And mind you, the movie does make it clear that they're terrible, and make it clear that you're not supposed to side with or root for them. But why did you do that in the first place? Why, like, what is the point of making these characters so terrible? Like, there was no comedic situations that came from it because nothing in this movie was really funny. So what was the point? I don't understand. This movie is so bafflingly bad. And it's not even one of those movies that goes so far that it's so bad it's good, like The Room or whatnot. It's just one of those movies that's just really fucking bad. It's just super poorly made. It's poorly acted. It's poorly written. Everything is just not working on any level. And I don't understand how they could release this. Was this like a straight to video film? Let me see if I can look up anything about this. Real quick. Before we close this out. Because this is genuinely confusing the shit out of me, how this movie is this bad and was still released. Also, this movie is 1990, by the way, which it's like, yeah, you can tell because some of the stuff and some of the attempted jokes in this were not good. Were actually pretty damn offensive. Also, Jesus. It makes sense, but the actor who played Junior in this is 42 years old now, and it's like, Jesus, I feel old. But yeah, let me see this. Okay, so this is considered a black comedy film. Why? The only thing that I would consider black comedy about this is when he, like, kind of threatens to smother the child. Otherwise, it's just a comedy. What makes it black comedy outside of that? Also, apparently, it has sequels. Okay, so this was released in theaters. The second one apparently was as well, but the third one was made for TV. Okay. So, that's a thing. And apparently the film was a box office success, which grossed 72.2 million, while the production budget was only 10 million. So that's actually a huge financial success. But according to this, it received very negative reviews. Take this with a grain of salt, but wow, Rotten Tomatoes, I think you got this one right. It has a rare approval rating of 0%. Holy shit, that's kind of hilarious. That's funnier than anything in the movie is. This movie has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. The site's critical consensus reads, mean-spirited, yeah, I can kind of see that, and hopelessly short on comic invention. Yeah, Problem Child is a particularly unpleasant comedy. One that's loaded with manic scenery chewing. Yeah, I didn't even think about that aspect, but definitely. And juvenile pranks, yep. On Metacritic, it has 27 out of 100 in terms of score. Generally unfavorable. For some fucking reason, audiences surveyed on CinemaScore gave it an A-. What the fuck happened there? The film was heavily censored when shown on television due to the remarks characters made about adoption, which critics saw as insensitive. I could see that. There are some definitely insensitive things it mentioned in here. Like I said, there's a lot of things that, because this was 1990, did not age well. And honestly, they weren't okay for the time either, but it's like, yeah, I can see that. Let's see here. So there were apparently protests over, like, the posters for this film. One of the posters for the film showed the cat, Fuzzball, and a tumble dryer. Jesus, why would you think that's a good idea? With the implication being that Junior had put in... Yeah, I understand the implication. Why do you think that would be a good idea for a poster? A group named in defense of animals organized protests against the posters. Fair. And some cinemas took them down in response. Only some. Director Dennis Duggan later issued a disclaimer saying that the kitty in the dryer was metaphorical and never an actual... Well, it isn't a scene in the film. That is true. But still... Gilbert Gottfried was nominated for a Golden Raspberry for Worst Supporting Actor, but lost to Donald Trump. What the fuck? Donald Trump has done acting things for some reason. Apparently from a movie called Ghosts Can't Do It for this one, though. That's hilarious, though. How the hell did this get a sequel in the first place, though? I don't understand. And there was an animated television series on the USA Network for it? Why? Why? Why did this have a legacy? It's acknowledged as being terrible. Most people clearly hate it. Why? Oh my god. I do not understand for the life of me. Like, no, I think I do understand. It's because it was a financial success. It's because it made so much money. It was so successful in terms of that. And that's all these fucking studios care about. Oh, the movie made money? Who cares if people didn't like it? It's like, it made money, so we're going to release a sequel. Oh my god. I have a headache now. Why is this the first thing I chose to record today? You're seeing this on Sunday. I'm recording this on Friday. This is like this is literally the first thing I'm recording today. I haven't recorded any of Friday's reactions yet. I don't know. Well, actually, excuse me. I think I chose to record this because I kind of already had it up because I was making sure the video file was good. So I think I just chose to record it because of that. Why I chose to do it first, but still. It's like, at least that means I'll be ending on something better, I guess. I mean, probably a good thing to start on the bad thing, on the bad reaction, and move to the better stuff after. It's just like, my god, this was bad. Like, holy shit. It's one of those few times where I actually agree with Rotten Tomatoes' score. Like, 0%. Yeah. This honestly deserves that. And it's wild for me to say that a movie deserves a 0%. That's actually saying quite a bit. Like, Jesus. Like, I understand Venom, that some of the movies you've requested, you've talked about this before, I think, in on Discord when we've talked and stuff. I think you've told me before that it's like, oh yeah, you request some movies that are bad or you don't even like just to see how I'll react to them. And it's like, I definitely understand why you would request this, why you want to see like how I would react to this movie. I don't know if you expected me to like hate it and find it as bad as I did, but I at least hope the reaction was entertaining to you. I hope my kind of breakdown was entertaining to you, and to anyone else watching this, of course. But wow, it is rare when I see a movie this bad. I guess before we close this out, I do want to remind you that we actually have some good stuff to watch on this channel. Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of, good series reactions to watch. And we also have good YouTube reactions that we check out on Mondays, or at least YouTube adjacent. Anything that doesn't quite fit in with a normal series or movie reaction. And speaking of, we have a lot of good movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. This one, I guess, is just an exception, I pre-record the movie reactions during the week, but upload them on the weekend, just so every day has some kind of reaction content going on for it. And we have some good Let's Play content on the channel, too. We have currently been playing through Spider-Man 2 on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Well, I pre-record the footage, but that's when I upload them. And I'm very much enjoying that. Phenomenal game. And another good game we've been playing is Anno Mutationum on Saturdays. This is a donation reward for Matthew Vasquez. And if you want to know how to donate for future PS5 Let's Plays, there's a video on the channel that'll help you with that. Just go to the channel search, and type in June Double Reward Month PS5. All one search. It should take you to the correct video, and from there, it'll tell you everything you need to know on how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play. But, all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I apologize for putting you through this. I apologize if you actually sat through and watched this movie with my reaction. I never mean to hurt you. I really don't. But I hope you at least enjoyed the reaction. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in to this. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.